Originally, I wasn't planning on talking about Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian because even though I did happen to read the first 3 volumes of the light novel, overall it's pretty decent. It's not bad, but compared to other romance series that I have watched or read, there's just still something that really doesn't make it all that special, and you can pretty much compare it with a lot of the other romance stories out there. But despite me saying all this, I still enjoyed the series and I still had a great time watching it, especially considering who animated it, this being Studio Doga Kobo, who have recently been on the spotlight due to them being the ones responsible for animating Oshinoko. Which, funny enough, Oshinoko was actually airing the same season as Alya, which, while Oshinoko is the bigger title than Alya, I have to commend them for still putting the effort on their animation in Alya because it still was very stunning to see, and I'm really glad that they still prioritize these two series when they could have easily just prioritized on Oshinoko simply because of just how more popular it is. But today I'm not going to be simply talking about just Alya and how the series was overall, because there is a particular character that really did get a lot of people's attention, and many people consider it as to probably the one of the best characters of Alya, and some will even go as far as to say that the only reason why they even watch this anime is because of this particular character, and this is none other than Yuki, who, despite her not being the main female character herself, just her personality and what she did alone made her probably one of the most memorable things of this series. And it's really impressive how in just a short amount of time, Yuki became the person that a lot of people talked about and a lot of people always posted when there was a new episode that had her in some sort of way. Even if it wasn't a big role, it was still enough for people to still talk about her and post that specific moment. But despite her rising in popularity, there is of course another side of people that felt that Yuki was a bit controversial, because if you happen to watch this series, you will know that Yuki seems to have a very deep affection towards the MC Kuze. Now normally this wouldn't really be a big issue, but the thing that people found an issue was the fact that Yuki and Kuze are brother and sister, so a lot of people felt weirded out whenever she did certain things towards Kuze, because for a lot of people this was considered very inappropriate, and some even went as far as to say that this was incest, which is a pretty bold statement to make. And while some people were of course memeing about this, some people actually were serious and did not like Yuki or the show overall because of it. And some went as far as to say that this is just simply a show about incest, which is really mind-boggling to hear, because if you even watched a few episodes of this series, you will know that that's not the case. But unfortunately with social media, you can say whatever you want and people out there will believe it, even if they haven't seen it themselves. And you'll be surprised how many people admitted that they didn't even watch the show and they jumped into this conclusion. Now, one thing that I also noticed when seeing these posts of people calling this show incest is that when they are actually having an argument with somebody, they don't tend to actually have a reason as to why they believe it. They either dodge the question or they make arguments that no one has made. And it was really frustrating seeing these kind of things happening, because it just left you at a loss for words just how dumb some people can truly be, or can't even form an opinion of their own without just simply trying to go along with what other people are saying. Now, some may make the argument that some of these posts were just trolls or just people who clearly were not taking this seriously and were just simply trying to get attention. And you wouldn't be wrong, as you are technically partially correct, as these accounts are very quick to be open about how they just simply made these posts to get attention, since these are the kind of posts that were getting a lot of attention from people. But you can't deny that there are some people out there who genuinely did believe this and were 100% serious with what they were posting. And this is probably the biggest reason why I decided to make this video, to not only show that those people have very terrible takes, but also to show that Yuki isn't a problematic character and there was no need for this controversy to even happen, as right from the start we already got a good idea of what kind of person Yuki is, as on the outside Yuki seems to be a very well-mannered girl who has a lot of class, which is something that a lot of people from the school noticed, and is one of the reasons why many people admire her and she became one of the most popular people in the school. But somebody does know her true colors, and somebody does know very well what kind of person Yuki truly is, and that is none none other than her brother Kuze, since once nobody is around and it's just the two of them, Yuki shows her true personality, and she's just an overall silly girl who instigates in order to get some sort of reaction from them that she wants to see. And we see this very clearly with Kuze, as she does a lot of things that of course will make Kuze be startled and have the reaction that Yuki wanted to see from him. And I think that's what a lot of people missed out, which is unfortunate, but it's bound to happen if people post out of context clips in these moments, because if you watch the clip, yeah, it does seem that Yuki has some sort of affection towards her brother, and of course many people got the idea that there was something else going on between them, but that's not the case, because Yuki, the only reason why she does even all this is just simply to once again get a reaction. She knows this is going to startle Kuze, and she knows that all she has to do is do a few questionable things that is of course going to get some sort of response from Kuze. And speaking of Kuze, it's not like he always lets this happen. He sometimes makes sure that nothing further happens as he doesn't want to deal with it, but he himself knows that Yuki is doing it on purpose just so that he could be startled. It's something that we see oftentimes all throughout the series, that Kuze is very quick to counter her sister's antics, as he knows that all this is happening is because Yuki is trying to mess with him. Which is why every time I saw a post that said that incest was going on between these two, it just falls flat, because one is just simply joking around and the other one knows that the person is joking around and is not being 100% serious. And it's not like Yuki loves just to simply mess around with her brother, she also loves to mess around with other people that are not related to her. The biggest example of this is of course the main female MC herself, Alya, who despite her clearly having feelings for Kuze, is of course sometimes very stubborn to accept them, and oftentimes speaks Russian when she has to say what she truly wants to say, not realizing that due to Kuze knowing Russian, he knows what she is saying and he knows what she truly is trying to say. And this is where Yuki comes in, as she knows that Alya has something with her brother and she oftentimes tries to get it out of her, and that is by instigating to get some sort of reaction from her. Since only a few people know that Yuki and Kuze are siblings, and the majority of people have been made to believe that both Yuki and Kuze are just simply childhood friends, and one of these people is none other than Alya. So whenever Alya sees both Yuki and Kuze hanging out, it's of course bound to bring her a bit of jealousy, and Yuki, seeing this, tries to instigate further in order to make Alya more jealous, or for her to just simply open up about how she truly feels to Kuze. And Alya always seems to take the bait, and every time this happens, Yuki is satisfied because Alya always shares something a little bit more about her true feelings. So in a way, while Yuki is messing with Alya, at the same time Yuki is also trying to help Kuze out as well, because Alya has special feelings for him, but the problem is that she doesn't seem to always be honest with how she feels. So while Yuki does want to look for that certain reaction that she wants to see, at the same time she is also helping her brother, even if Kuze doesn't know 100% all the time what Yuki is doing with both her and Alya are alone. And it's in these moments that really give us a good idea of what Yuki's trying to do. Yes, she's oftentimes trying to be a jokester, but she does genuinely care for her brother and wants her brother to be happy. And this will lead us to what makes Yuki even a more deeper character than what she seems to be, because while we all think of her as just the funny girl who says and does whatever she wants, there's actually another side of her that we see later on. And it ties to, of course, Kuze and Yuki's family. We learn later on that Kuze and Yuki's family isn't all that great. Due to Kuze being considered a prodigy, many were hopeful that he will be the next to take the throne, but Kuze did not want to deal with any of that, and so he instead decided to run away from his responsibilities. This of course angered his grandfather, who decided to not only consider him an outcast of the family, but he now relied on Yuki to take her brother's place. So already there is a lot of pressure that Yuki is facing, as not only does she have to be perfect, but now she has to be just as good, if not more better than Kuze, which is a very hard thing to accomplish, since Kuze has shown numerous times that he is a very smart individual, and if he actually wants to take things seriously, he could actually be doing a lot more in his school. He just chooses not to because he just simply wants to lay back and not have to deal with so many things. And while normally this scenario would cause a rift between the brother and sister, which you can't really blame Yuki for, as now she has taken a lot of responsibilities thanks to Kuze's actions, she doesn't really seem to hold a grudge towards Kuze. And this is a good highlight of just how strong Yuki is, as despite the family tensions and how Kuze has been treated by his own family, Yuki still views him as her brother and she still greatly appreciates and respects him. And you could also tie this back as to the reason why maybe Yuki is always trying to be silly and always have a very good time, and it's probably because she just wants to have a moment where she could finally be at peace and be happy instead of just having to worry about all the responsibilities that she has to take care of now. Which you can't really blame her, because just imagine being Yuki and the age that she's at. Imagine having to now be the one to be told that when you are grown up, you're going to have to take care of the family and make sure that the family name has a good reputation. That's a lot, and especially with someone like Yuki, who was probably not expecting this outcome to happen, it could take a toll on her mental and emotional health. So in order for that not to happen and she doesn't have to be depressed or be anxious about it, she tries to forget about all that with just simply having a wonderful time at school with not just her brother but with everybody else. But that's not to say that Yuki isn't somebody that you can mess with or see her as a very weak person, because when she wants to, she can show that she is smart and cunning as well, and this is shown very greatly during the elections for the student council president, one that she's actually competing with Alya, as she wants to be the leader as well. And despite Kuze's comments saying that Yuki is a strong opponent and she's not going to be very easy to defeat, and with the majority of the people from the school believing that Yuki 100% is going to win and it's not even going to be a battle at all, Yuki still puts her priorities to making sure that she does in fact win. Of course, while it's very easily obvious that she's trying to be like the villain and play a villainous role, she is 100% still a very smart individual. By taking advantage when Kuze was sick, riling up Alya about how she was going to win, only for her to later do a 180 and apologize to Alya for her attitude, and she says that she has a reason as to why she wants to win the election, and that is because she wants to win for her brother, implying and making Alya believe that her brother is no longer here, and there's a reason why Yuki's so determined to win, leading to of course Alya being flustered and not knowing really how to respond to that question of why she wants to be the one to win the elections. And while of course, like I mentioned earlier, that Yuki was obviously still playing the villainous role and only pretending for the sake of this elections, it still gives us a good idea as to what Yuki is capable of when she puts her mind into something that she wants to achieve. It's so impressive in fact that when Kuze finds out about what Yuki was doing with Alya when he was gone, he was actually satisfied hearing it, and almost as if he felt the need to show his true skills in order to take Yuki down. And while the elections are still up in the air, since towards even the end of the series they're still far from over, with the help of Kuze, Alya was able to make a good speech, which led to many of the people who were going to be part of the election to realize that this is not a one-sided battle and that both Yuki and Alya are determined to win no matter what it takes. And overall, these reasons alone are the reason why Yuki got the spotlight of this show. It's the reason why a lot of people were willing to watch this show all the way till the very end, and that is because of Yuki. Of course, there are other characters like Alya, her sister Masha, who also has a very interesting plot of her own, this being the fact that she was actually the childhood friend of Kuze when they were little kids, and Kuze, who is also a very interesting MC, this with his family situation going on, especially as it's hinted that there's something going on between her and her mother. These are all things that make this series interesting, but there's just something about Yuki and her antics that just makes it all the more to watch it. And every time Yuki has a scene, regardless of just how big it is to the story or just how minimal it is, it's still a lasting impact, and it gives us a reason as to why Yuki is considered by many one of the best characters of this anime, because she's that unpredictable. But that's not a bad thing, as you just still want to see Yuki overall, and hopefully this is enough for people to stop treating her as she's just simply the sister who is madly in love with her brother, but to another level. That is not the case, because she is more than that. She's not a one-dimensional character and only says and does certain things just for the sake of doing it, just in order to get some sort of response that she wants to see. And it's not like we haven't seen a Yuki type character in other series, because there have been plenty of characters who just simply love to do things just to get reactions from people. It's nothing new, so I'm not really sure why Yuki was the exception, but this Yuki controversy does show us once again how it's important to watch something first before forming an opinion. Because if you say something without knowing what you are talking about and it's proven wrong right away, well, that's on you. And if you're those people who posted these kind of statements just in order to get the attention that you wanted, well, I hope it was worth it, because now people know who to take serious and who to simply just view them as a joke when it comes to having an opinion. But yet again, the bad takes that I saw were especially coming from Twitter, so I'm not really too surprised, because Twitter is just simply a place that has been infamously known for having the most insane and terrible takes of all time. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens next with Alya season 2. Although I have heard the series goes and takes a turn for the worse, as apparently it's going to be a dumpster fire. Like I said, I only read the first 3 volumes, so I don't know if this is actually true, but I have seen people who have read the light novel saying it, so there seems to be some truth to that statement, but only time will tell. And let's see if that's the case. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.